Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 10 versus 10 on Airport, and I'm going to be playing with the 101st Airborne. This was a crazy 10v10, so make sure to grab your favourite beverage, maybe some popcorn, sit back, relax and enjoy. Let me take you through what I've deployed at the start of the game. So we've started with two of these Chinooks carrying Aero Scouts. Then further back I've got two more of the Chinooks with green berets. We've got the green beret leader in another of these MH47Ds. And then I've got four mules that are going to be carrying aero stingers. These are really interesting little go-karts with 50 cals on them. And you can see in the bottom left that I've also purchased two Phantom 2s. And those have the task of protecting me from enemy aircraft as the Chinooks head into battle. So the plan is to just kind of unload these up on the top of this hill, take good control of this hill, and put some pressure onto Echo. So in Airport, at one point they did remove the Echo and Foxtrot sectors, but they've added them back in, and they're much smaller than they were before. So you can now fight over the sides of the map effectively once again. Here come the Phantom 2s, and you can see that I'm up against quite bad odds. And that is four MiG-29s heading my way, as well as two Su-27s, and this is all from one player. He's brought in three cards of air-to-air in the form of these MiGs, and they're going to make very, very short work of my opener, taking out both of my Aero Scouts and both of my Phantoms. Now I'm trying to get these to land ASAP. You can see that they are trying to get down, but of course having to pull the most crazy maneuvers, and unfortunately the leader goes down, one of my green berets goes down, the Su-27 just misses the last missile there, still does damage as it hits the ground nearby, but that is a lot of Chinooks getting absolutely ripped out of the sky, and that is really the picture of the game right there, as the start does not go great at all. Mistrals are going to reply with a kill onto the Mi-8T, and this Mi-24P is trying to stop the Sergeys. Sergey's trying to stay close so that they can get machine guns on target, but the Mistrals, they're going to take out the Mi-24P. Now I'm in a little bit of trouble because you can see that there is one of the big infantry squads in there from the 56th, and that will put up a good fight against the Green Berets, especially considering my Green Berets had low cohesion due to their attack while they were in the helicopters. So Stinger's going to be trying to avoid the engagement with this unit, but if I can get within shock range, the Special Forces plus shock trait should allow me to beat their squad just due to our weapons being slightly better. And yeah, the Special Forces training there will help us out a lot. So you can see that their cohesion absolutely ruined very, very quickly. My Green Berets sitting on normal cohesion will be absolutely fine, even get a free BLRA kill with their AT4. So not doing too badly. These Aero Stingers up here with their M16s also getting involved in running down that infantry squad. And you see just how effective a Green Berets can be. But unfortunately, a lot of them getting taken out before they even landed. Unfortunate. So I'm going to be reinforcing as quickly as possible. And the best way for me to do that is to bring in the Black Hawks with these aero rifles. So I'm going to be cycling backwards and forwards. Black Hawks here with aero rifles. His aircraft will be on cooldown for a little while because they did use up a lot of their missiles. So it does give me a chance to really get some extra troops in here. Now the 50 cals of the mules, since they're all 2 veterancy, since my Aero Stingers are 2 vet, they're actually doing a lot of damage here and do manage to wipe out that squad very, very quickly indeed. Now this Mi-24V causing issues for my teammate here, so I am going to be moving up the Stinger to shoot that down. The Pamelas reach the position first and get the kill. So now I really need to sort of recover my momentum. I'm bringing in a leader to capture this sector because I didn't do that at the start. But the way that I'm going to build my momentum is every time these are sold for 60 points each, I can afford to bring in another card of arrow rifles. And eventually I'll just be selling constant amounts of Blackhawks and then just bringing in more and more arrow rifles until I can pretty much fully secure the hill here once again. So that's kind of the plan that I'm going for. I'm also going to be bringing up some supply to make sure that I can resupply my stingers and also keep my infantry tops up with reinforcements. Now this side of the map is really interesting because you have this massive cliff here and you can place units on the top of this cliff. In particular, tows make a good use of this cliff. Things like Fargos and Conkers, like all HGMs basically. But also you can see here I'm putting my AA on top of this hill, and because these are manpad squads, they can use the trees for cover. If this was like vehicles put up here, like this VRA Pamela, they can use the forest for cover as well, but they're going to be a lot easier to spot than these infantry squads. But basically what this is going to do is make this cliff a no-fly zone. If anything flies over here on the right-hand side to attack my helicopters further back, they're going to be taking quite a lot of shots, and quite a lot of accurate shots, because these stingers with the 2 veterancy have 65% accuracy. And the Pamela here, also 65% accuracy, as my teammate has brought it in at the 1 veterancy, or that got a veterancy maybe from killing one of the helicopters. Regardless, arrow rifles spreading out, and you can see that I'm making sure to cover as much of the forest as I can with these orders. I'm going to be bringing in the next squad of green berets. We're going to be trying to get them in nice and low and try and reinforce as far up as possible. After the start of the game, anytime I was hearing the enemy aircraft sound, it was giving me a little bit of PTSD. But these green berets should be able to land safely, and they weren't spotted on the way in, so that is fine. Like after the start of the game, having this many aircraft in the sky is going to be a lot harder because you can't go so deep in order to spot things like these helicopters constantly coming in and reinforcing. Now in this case, I will keep the MH-47D around because it does have a minigun, but the Blackhawks will continue to be moved backwards and forwards, and since this Chinook made it to position, these Blackhawks are going to be able to land pretty deep here on the mountain. Now TO-55 is going to be a little bit of a problem, as I only have M72 Laws in the front armor. I'm not going to be able to do too much damage, but I do manage to get quite a lucky crit there. Hit the bailout onto one of the TO-55s. And the plan that I have is to basically hit these TO-55s from both sides, but fortunately one of them was already showing side armor, so the last 2 M72s from the arrow rifles do get the job done. Now I'm going to be looking to just finish off the second one, which is bailed out. Just make sure to finish that off so it doesn't get fixed up by supply, and then I can continue on my merry way through the tree lines here. You might also notice that I have managed to sneak up the green beret onto this junction, and there's a lot of sort of roads that travel through this area if they want to attack this hill. So this is a perfect location for me to basically defend my higher hill position whilst my teammate here kind of pushes through on the right hand side. And I'll also be doing the same eventually with the green berets, because in order to get a leader into the sector, we want to get into this corner here, which requires us kind of going around the right side of the hill. We can go around the left, but because the cliff comes all the way down to here, it does make you very exposed in this area of the tree line. So it's much easier to go around the right than it is on the left. So more and more troops going to be on the way. I've actually got a supply Chinook on the way. We've got the M561 supply goats on the way. We've got the aero scouts coming in, making sure that I have some recon that I can put on top of this hill as well. Due to the higher elevation, having some infantry recon up there would be absolutely fantastic. But the green beret here going to make short work of the TO-55, so that's good. And the nice thing about the green berets is they do have 8 AT-4s, so able to really just completely destroy those, but are going to get overwhelmed by the sheer number of infantry heading our way. These dish squads, 14 men each, 3 of them versus 1 of my green beret, forcing my green beret to do a runner as quickly as possible. So MH-60 DAP going to be on the way. The Stingers are going to be engaging any helicopters that are going to be coming in. The perfect position here for the missiles to be firing down towards those helicopters. And if we can take them out while they still have the infantry inside, that's actually a huge kill for us. So really hoping to get those on target. So I managed to get my green berets out of there, and they are going to be able to be resupplied by the M561 supply goats. I've also now got a green beret leader coming up, and my plan with the green beret leader was to maybe sort of give extra veterancy to the arrow stingers, but also eventually maybe put pressure into this sector. This is a 3-point sector. We have the same on the left side here at Foxtrot, and so these are actually pretty hotly contested. I don't want him to get in behind all of my arrow stingers here with these infantry, so we're bringing over the second squad of arrow rifles here. On the right hand side, Mirage does get shot down, but the Su-27 pays for it as it flies right over the mountain full of manpads. MH-47 coming back to provide minigun support. Going to be dropping its flares, but getting the minigun on target. And that's going to do plenty of damage over time to this squad. Look at that, absolutely chewing them up. Due to the 3 veterancy, this minigun is ridiculously accurate. And because of that, is also doing a ton of DPS. So job done there. Now going to move up and try and engage the second squad as well. Whilst these arrow rifles back off and potentially get fixed up. And they'll join my green beret here by the Chinook supply to do that. Just going to finish off that squad as well. Chinook, job done. Now down here, really good catch from my green beret. 84 on target. Unfortunately for me, the T-80 BVK did manage to show its front armor, but hoping the last shot gets on target, and it does. So the green beret there picking up a really important kill onto the T-80 BVK. Very expensive loss for our opponents. And you'll notice as well here that trucks are getting caught out by the Panzer Grenadiers of WarnConehead, as well as my arrow rifles, which have already used up their M72s. So these green berets are going to have to fall back, because without any ammo, they will just be run down by the T-80s. So I've got to be really careful about that. The MH60 DAP ready to help out when needed. Really nice unit for destroying infantry with its Hydra rockets and also 2 miniguns as opposed to the 1 on the Chinook here. But since this Chinook was damaged, instead of like wasting my supply to fix it up, I'm just going to be selling that one for the 65 points there. That will allow me to bring in even more of my infantry. Some more arrow rifles on the way, and we're just going to continue the momentum on this right hand side where we're like really building up a lot of infantry in this forest that will hopefully and eventually allow me to kind of break through and try and capture Echo. Now once we get to Echo, it's going to be kind of difficult to hold this against units in the open ground, but we'll try our best. Meanwhile, Su-24 coming in on the left here. Oh, big laser guided bomb, absolutely nukes WarnConehead's leopards there. A beautiful effect as that absolutely vaporizes them. Very cool indeed. Yeah, the Black Hawks flying in. We'll get another cinematic shot of these. It's really cool to watch these fly overhead. Up into the mountain they go. I love how low to the canopy they are. They're going to swing into this open area and land, dropping off their infantry. The Chinook there almost bumping into multiple of these Black Hawks, but thankfully there is no collision. Otherwise that would be kind of chaotic. But there we go, they're landed and off they go. Black Hawks will head back home, sell them off, bring in even more. That's basically the plan, over and over again. Arrow rifles trying to get into position at the moment to get the M72 onto the side armor of the T-80Bs. You can see that my Chinook here has moved over and helped reload the AT-4. Unfortunately, the arrow stinger on the side of the mountain here does get spotted, so I am going to be forced to pull that back. I did already lose one. It was right on the front edge. But here, more of these douche squads arriving. My arrow rifle is getting a little bit overwhelmed, so I'm going to be forced to move in the green beret leader here to engage those. I've also got the arrow rifle coming in down here, as well as the arrow scouts. Not quite able to save those in time. but I will certainly be able to overwhelm the remaining forces. And all the while, we've got Brittany joining us here with some of the British infantry and armoured vehicles in the form of the Warrior Applique, and we also have our French teammate with the Legionnaires ready to help as well. So the MH60 moving into position so that we can get the rockets on target. Unfortunately, the Stinger here from the Spetsnaz going to be spoiling the fun a little bit, but since that gets taken out by our teammate, I was hoping I'd be able to, you know, kind of be a bit greedy here and get the shots on target. Unfortunately, the last shot gets through and the DAP goes down. But the Aero Scout's doing a good job, and I'm not revealing the Green Beret Leader here on purpose just because it's not needed. If I showed the Green Beret Leader here, I'm basically encouraging the enemy to bomb me, so I don't really want to do that. At the moment, we're just showing like one Legionnaire Padder and the Aero Scouts, which is still a decent bombable target, but the Green Beret Leader would certainly be the one that would be targeted first. So MiG-27 coming over with a laser guided bomb. Going to be able to hit the Chieftain Mark 11 there, but does get taken out by the man-pads on the hill. You can see with the Green Beret Leader nearby, both of these Aero Stingers are 3 vet as well as the Pamela. It's making a big difference there. MiG-29's now coming over as well, looking to engage the Tornado GR1. And whilst they are able to get some shots on target there, here come the infrared missiles, and down goes a MiG-29. So we're starting to get our revenge on the enemy aircraft that did so much damage to us at the start of the game. But you can see across the board things are still relatively even. 158 points to our opponents as opposed to just our 8. So more arrow rifles on the way. Now I'm opting more for these arrow rifles with dragons. The arrow rifles with dragons, they have a Dragon 2, and they'll be able to do a decent amount of damage at range from the edge of the tree line, so that's why I was opting to go for those. A bombing strike coming over from the Su-24 does take out one of the Aero Stingers, but we do manage to shoot it down, so really not worth it for our opponent. And meanwhile, on the left, I did actually capture a Kraz. This was a really nice cap actually for me. Kraz is a big supply vehicle, and taking that out of the equation by capturing it and then having them kill it was really nice. I was trying to save it. I think I did manage to give it an order to drive into the tree line, but they shot it before it could hide there. Otherwise I would have just brought it up here and used it to resupply my arrow rifles. You can see these arrow rifles that ran out of M72s have been heading back to get resupplied. It's really important in these sorts of situations that you do make sure that you top up your AT weapons whenever they're used, because otherwise it just gives so many free kills to enemy armored vehicles. So Aero Scouts now getting into a good position on the tip of the mountain here. And unfortunately, they're going to engage because I didn't put them on to return fire. So they're going to get absolutely slammed now by autocannon fire. But we are making good progress. The Aero Scouts and Aero Rifles have bumped into enemy infantry on the edge of Echo. And it's only a matter of time until I can get the Green Beret Leader to move in there and decap this. And then if we can keep eyes on it, we can just have the Aero Rifles with Dragon just like kind of line up here and delete any armor that comes into the sector. So I do also now have a Chaparral on the way. Chaparrals will be much more effective at shooting down aircraft, although the Stingers have been doing a good job so far. Aero Toad 2 has joined us on the ridge, and the Toad 2 going to be able to get some really good shots here towards the enemy armor, taking out one of the BMP2s. Tornado does come over a little bit overzealous. Unfortunately, on this right hand side you won't be seeing me use many aircraft for a while because you're going very deep to attack Echo, and so they are always going to have these aircraft on the backside that are going to be able to attack your aircraft if you go too deep. Also, it makes it very easy for them to just put a couple like Books or Cubs or any sort of long range radar AA quite far back and just pop your aircraft as they drop their ordnance. Now, unfortunately for me, the Douche do manage to find the Green Beret Leader, which kind of gives the game away as to what's about to happen. So I'm really kind of worried that there is going to be a strike coming in for that Green Beret Leader. Fortunately, that was just a MiG-23. It did give me a bit of a fright. But we're getting there, slowly but surely. and if we manage to put the green barrier leader in here, we are going to be on a +3, so that's going to be pretty big for the team. But on the left, in the meantime, a lot of pressure coming through from the opposing team. So whilst we're making room over here, they are also pushing in quite nicely on the left. But we're going to be the first to secure the opposing sector, and my green beret do manage to get the +3 on the board. So that is going to allow us to count our score above our opponents pretty fast. All the while still reinforcing my position here with the aero towed 2s on the way to get into good positions on the edge of the mountain. Like from here, you can see the anti-tank missile range is so nice for covering this area. So I'm going to be able to engage these BMP-1s pretty soon. Fortunately, another Mirage 5 going down as it again tries to go deep. The Su-27's just sort of on patrol on the backside there, making short work of anything that comes in. But yeah, TOW 2 also doing the same to their ground vehicles. That is a nasty position for a TOW 2. Looking there to kill the enemy BMP-1, and we do manage to hit it nicely. And those were both recon BMPs, so those were good kills because it's going to make them a lot less likely to spot the aero TOW 2s that will be brought up on the edge of this ridge. So since we managed to full cap this, we are actually onto a +6, and you can see that I then moved the green beret leader back out because it doesn't need to stay in the sector in order to keep it captured if it's not being contested. So we're just going to continue to reinforce my position here, bring in more supply, make sure that I'm constantly resupplying the AT weapons here and also the man pads. Like having the man pads in position is super important to take out enemy helicopters that might threaten all of my support weapons on the edge of this ridge, and also of course punish all of the aircraft that are flying overhead. But otherwise, yeah, starting to just get into a really nice defensive position here, and it's going to really become about contesting Echo versus all of these units at long range, because there isn't really much way for me to reach out and kill these T-80UDs without suiciding aircraft potentially, other than maybe using helicopters with like Hellfires or getting the TOW 2s into range. And when you're reliant on Age of Gems, it's really difficult because these T-80UDs can just like pop smoke and reverse and then get resupplied with more smoke. And so you kind of end up losing out on those engagements over time because the T-80s can just go back and repair if they do get hit, and then eventually they'll be hitting their targets. Like in this case, they're just kind of creeping forwards. They're taking out like the Trap Rapier there. They're going to take out the Chieftain Mark 11s. And you'll notice that like this T-80UD might be able to get out of there quite nicely. The Warrior Placate just missing its Milan 2 into the side armor. That T-80UD is actually really, really unfortunate, but going to be getting potentially a second chance here. Regardless, the artillery is going to be starting to come in. And artillery is certainly something I also have to be worried about. All these sort of smaller squads with the Aero TOW 2s and the Aero Stingers, they can just be picked off very easily by singular artillery units. Like, it doesn't have to be a Grad or anything big in order to get the job done. It can quite simply just be like one Akataya or like one Gvozdika, something like that. Yeah, MiG-23. We did manage to take down the MiG-21. The MiG-23 manages to get away with that one. It's quite a lot of AA on the front line here. So any aircraft that does get away, doing pretty well. Now you can see on the left-hand side I did bring up an Apache. Since this sector is being overrun, I did send this over here to kind of cover against enemy armor that would be coming out into the open. Because most of the infantry at close range is mostly KDA Schützen. So I was hoping that my teammates would be able to help deal with that, whilst the Apache kind of covers against enemy armor. I do of course have to be careful, as an enemy aircraft could come in and try and dive the Apache, but they're going to have the same outcome as if we were to dive them, where we can just like reply with our air-to-air aircraft and also any radar AA and such we have nearby. So all the while, yeah, just continuing to bring in more support weapons, now bringing in a TOW 2, for example, here, to cover the open ground from further up. Because whilst this ridge position is really, really nice, we are somewhat limited on range there. MiG-23 coming in for the bombing strike, looking for the Marder 182. Bit of a waste, as it does get cleaned up by the manpads and the chaparral pretty easily. So now T-72 coming in to try and decap Echo. It's going to come under fire from the TOW-2, so really hoping the TOW-2 can do the job here as it tries to get away. Unfortunately missing just at the last second. That is going to force me to put the Green Beret back in to recap this. Another Su-24 going down. Well, that was an Su-22, sorry. So there we go, recapping. And this is basically what's going to happen, where we're throwing caps backwards and forwards on this side, trying to annihilate each other's command vehicles. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side, the opponents have managed to fully cap this. Unfortunately, my teammates were completely pushed out. But what I've opted to do with those Apaches is kind of bring them over to the right-hand side. The reason I ended up doing this was because I don't like splitting my focus too much, particularly with high-value units. And I noticed that like these Apaches would be really, really handy to have on this right-hand side. A rocket artillery coming in, looking for the kill onto the chaparral. Managing to take out, I think, an aero stinger there as well. But yeah, you can see this 24 AP, 70% accurate missile would be perfect for taking out things like the BMP-1 and also the T-72 that was contesting my Green Berets here. Especially since like now the artillery is focusing down all of my support weapons on the edge of this mountain. Nice kill for the Aero TOW-2 here though. That's managing to get some good kills in from that position. Now aiming at the BMP-1K3 to stop that from capping the sector. We do manage to get the kill, so pretty important one there. These Apaches waiting to pounce onto the T-80UDs. So MI8 moving forwards is going to get picked off by the Aero Stingers. The TOW-2 actually managed to pop one of the T-80UDs into the side armor, so that worked out really nicely. And now the Apaches have arrived. We're looking to wipe out some of these enemy tanks. And the MiG-23 going to be coming over looking for a kill. But unfortunately, no room for those over my hill, that's for sure. Chaparral shoots it out of the sky with the help of a stinger. Job well done. They're forced out of the objective once again. And the Green Beret leader's going to be able to secure the cap. Although the T-80BVK now coming in, really hoping that the TOW-2 can hit the mark, and it does. But then there's also the T-72 coming in as well, and all this rocket artillery is making it very difficult for me to keep the Green Beret leader in the corner of that sector. So I'm opting to move forwards the Apaches. And these Apaches drifting forwards here to pop the T-72. Now they're going to be able to retreat over the top of the mountain. Very, very cool. And they'll land by the Chinooks to get rearmed in the opening. So, very, very nice so far. Green Beret leader just going to hop back in. All of these infantry should probably be retreating from that position. No need for them to be there, really. The only thing that really needs to be here now, because the Dragon 2 is not going to be too effective against this heavy armor, is just the Green Beret leader. That's able to be spotted if there were recon next to the T-80UDs, but at the moment just managing to stay hidden with that and get the full cap once again on this right hand side. Right, meanwhile on the left hand side, the 101st does get access to a few tanks, so I am going to be moving up the M1IP to assist on this left hand side. I've just got it relatively quite far back so that it can just support whilst my teammates continue to push in there. That way I'm not putting it into too much danger. But here we go again with the Apaches. They're going to be engaging the T-80UDs. And we're really hoping to take one out there. Unfortunately, it did manage to get its smoke off, and Strela 10Ms are now on the way. So back we go once again. The Apaches swinging their way over the side to get resupplied. I'm not going to bother resupplying these aero rifles at the moment. Not really any need to. Just kind of replacing the TOW2s where I can, so that I can maybe pick off the Strela 10Ms in this position. Because I need to get rid of these Strela 10Ms if I'm going to use the Apaches more freely. If he keeps moving up the Strelas every time he pushes the T-80s, then eventually he's going to be able to kill off this Green Barrier Leader using some recon as well. But with the artillery coming in, I'm going to be forced to fall back. On the left-hand side, absolute carnage for our team, as Napalm has absolutely ruined a lot of infantry and reinforcing units. Fortunately, Seiko here driving straight into that with a Rover Milan as they get cooked alive. Yeah, the M1IP just holding its position, hoping that my team can get a leader in here just to make sure that we have that under control. Mi-24 not lasting long at all. Strela 10Ms currently trying to sneak up on my Apaches, but we're not going to let that happen. My Aero TOW2 was forced off the edge here, but if I can put it into a position where it can only engage the Strelas without being shot at by anything else, then I'll be good. But at the moment, the BRM-1 and this BMP-1 making that kind of difficult. A good job by the Aero Rifles with Dragons there, taking out the BMP-1P. Now it's just the BRM that's going to be a problem. I'm going to move a few supply down here, just mainly to get the Green Beret up to maximum numbers. Over on the left-hand side here, a couple Aero Rifles getting taken out, unfortunately. But here we go, looking to get kills onto the T-80UDs. Unfortunately, I kind of misjudged the distance there, and my Apache ATAS is going to go down for it. These Strela 10Ms, they do have 2,825 meter range, which is like 25 meters more than the Apache. But I thought if I could get them into a position where they can shoot at the T-80UD and the Strela 10Ms are just behind, then I'd be absolutely fine. Unfortunately, they are going to be able to full cap this, and a lot of rocket artillery going to be smashing more units on this right-hand side. I've kind of lost a lot of my TOW2 squads now, so their armor has a lot more agency in this position. Teammates are trying to hit this with cluster, but to no avail. So this becoming quite difficult to manage, and my Aero Rifles struggles to kill off the BRM-1. On the left hand side I have reinforced with another M1IP, as I figured that if I can't really push this out effectively, then I might as well help trying to re-secure the left at the same time. But Apache now moving up, looking for a kill onto another T-80UD. No luck for me, as the second Hellfire missiles, the first Hellfire already missed as well. Third Hellfire finally hits the mark, another T-80UD down. Now T-80UDs, they're not cheap, right? 330 points a pop, so really good kill for the Apache, as they're only 240 points themselves. But the main thing that I do want to kill off is the BMP-13K3. That would then allow me to move back in with the Green Beret Leader in order to recap this position. But the Sperry RPO currently killing off the last of the Aero Rifles on the left, and that's going to prevent me from killing off the Strela 10Ms that were there. Those are super important for me to kill. Really hoping to get rid of those. But Milan 2 is putting a good amount of pressure onto the T-80UD. Might allow the SAG-A's to move forwards and clean up the Strela 10Ms. So manages to take out one of them, and we are starting to whittle down these infrared AA pieces, which is going to open up the opportunity for the Apaches once again. So on the left, unfortunately, my M1IP does take a bit of damage, so just going to be backing that up as I continue to now be forced to manage both sides. But good job on my teammate here, taking out the T-80UD, and the Apaches are going to be able to help engage the BMP-1K3. So there goes the Hellfire, and the 30mm going to be able to sneak around the corner here and get a shot towards the BMP. But the Strela that was in the tree line here kind of spoiling the fun as that moves up and gets a couple shots on target. So no kill on the BMP 1K3, but it does give me time to get the green beret leader into the corner. That worked out quite nicely. Good kill by the Seed. Onto the Tunguska. Su-24 coming in with those bombs here. I'm trying to move to the side, but to no avail. The green beret leader does go down. We do trade for the Su-24, but without my leader in position there, it does allow them to decap this very, very easily. So I'm now going to be purchasing an M1IP Abrams to help on this right-hand side, as that will be quite a bit more resilient, but will be much easier spotted. That is the main concern there. So aero rifles that were brought up to help deal with the infantry out in the open do end up taking a face full of rockets. And so it goes on. The back and forth on the Echo sector. Milan 2 actually in a really, really good position here to do a lot of damage to these T-80s. Unfortunately, Syndrome wasn't really doing a good job of keeping recon close to his tanks, and it was making it very hard for them to spot these AT weapons as they continue to blink at his armor. My Dragon there, I think, managed to land a hit into the front armor of the T-80UD. Nice cluster rounds coming in there. Actually takes out the Strela 10M. Unfortunately picked off though by the MiG-29. Cluster from the Jaguar does finish the job. MiG-29 lucky to get out alive. Now again in this position with the Apaches, because I can't see any of those Strelas. So really, really hoping that I can get some good free kills in here, particularly onto that BMP 1K3 that was causing us so many issues when it came to capturing this. So taking out the BMP 1C, or 1PC, and then also the BMP 1K3. Good job there. Apache's going to fall back because I don't want them to be dived by the MiG-29s, although the MiG-29s did manage to pick off that tornado. So over on the left-hand side, one of my Abrams was cleaned up, but I've got more Abrams on the way. Actually, I ended up sending it back. Okay, there it is. Yeah. Actually sending that back to the supply point. Sometimes it is just worth, in my opinion, just like driving it back to a field supply point if you have one. And in this case, just going to be using my teammates one to get that back up to scratch so I can help them push back out on this left-hand side, because all the while our opponents hold on to that and we're not holding on to this, they're counting a +6 on us. And that's only 5 minutes until victory. So the game very, very close at the moment and will continue to be so. But Humvee on the way, M1IP on the way. The Humvee here going to be able to just kind of dive in there, cap it, and jump out again. Although I am going to have to be careful managing that. Meanwhile on the left, this Green Beret, still alive. They were doing a fantastic job. You can see just like all of the wrecks and stuff from units on this junction. We've just been killing off loads of stuff here with these Green Berets. The Apache is going to be coming to save them because they've been doing such a good job. And this was just such a perfect position for an Apache to be in. There's no AA here to prevent these from absolutely ripping through everything. The Motostrelki getting taken out by the cannons, the T-62s being wiped out by the Hellfires. It's just absolutely huge. Motostrelki trying to move up on the side of the hill here to take out the Chaparral, and they're getting smashed by the 30 mils as well. The fantastic part about this is these Apaches are getting like loads of free veterancy. So this Apache actually up to 2 vet, making its Hellfire 78% accurate. Huge. Absolutely huge. So many free kills down on the left-hand side by the Apache. And all the while, Fox has actually managed to get an M1A1 into this sector. And we've also managed to spot the Spetsnaz Komroti that is counter-capping. So that is prime target for some teammates' artillery. And there's plenty of mortars back here. So he's going to be firing them away. Now he's just going to be pinging me with defense orders because he's firing by my supply, so I'm going to be forced to kind of shift these in case of counter battery. Very kind of him to actually let me know that that was so close. Well, they probably shouldn't have fired it from where my helicopters were already landed already. So I'm going to have to just move them to the edge of the tree line there to make sure that the enemy rocket artillery doesn't absolutely smash me in the face. Now my Humvee CP here, caught in a bad position. I'd already given it the order to drive in there because I am focusing on the left-hand side as well. You can see that the M1IP Abrams are starting to push in quite aggressively on this side, taking out the HGM there, taking out a book. Really good kill. Now looking for the kill onto the T62. Really starting to kind of clean house here, but MiG-23 is going to make things difficult. I'm going to be forced to smoke off and retreat with those vehicles. Unfortunately, Seiko's Challenger 2 taking the shots for the team there. On the left, I am going to be bringing in an Eagle. Unfortunately, quite a bit late. Really, really bad reaction on my part. And another MI8 MT coming in. I've managed to continue to keep Stingers up on the hill, so that was good. I did also manage to replace one of the TOW 2s, so that was helpful as well. But having a really bad time trying to take out the Spetsnaz Komroty. These mortars just not really making the cut. We don't really have any other decent artillery between us to do the job at the moment. Personally, with the 101st, wasn't really able to get any decent artillery in. Quite a lot of units up against us though. Really, really big concentration of forces coming in, especially with the AI now bringing in some forces. Purple surrendered earlier, and his infantry now just pushing across is going to make things difficult. The Apache here hit twice, hit 3 times, does finally go down, crashes into the side of the mountain. Second one also gets hit, and whilst these tanks do come under heavy fire from the Milan 2s, we're not going to be able to get back into the sector anytime soon. Well, my M1IP can put some pressure into the sector to sort of recap it, but all this infantry actually kind of difficult for me to clean up. And meanwhile on the left, M1IP is going to go down. Challenger Mark II trying to push into the sector to cap it. Not quite getting the job done. Nice kill though from the Seed onto the enemy radar. MiG-27 coming in with bombs. Going to be able to hit these quite nicely, but doesn't do quite enough damage to finish them off. Now just got to be careful as the napalm arrives. And that napalm has been an absolute killer for our team on the left-hand side so far. So more of it. Frustrating to deal with. I did bring in the 155 on the back here to help support the left-hand side. I was hoping that somebody else could kind of pick up the slack on the artillery on the right-hand side, whilst I just continue to try and support with the M1IP. And you can see the M1IP here just kind of trying to contest as best as it can, but the T80BB going to be able to move in there. And with the artillery on top, easy kill for the enemy. Wasn't really able to get it out of that position because it was so low on cohesion, but the armoured rifles at least managed to take out the T80BV, and my Apache here also going to be able to do a decent amount of damage. So Hellfire is just constantly firing away, and dead T80BV. On the left-hand side, my Abrams has pushed forwards very, very aggressively. This one's going to get caught out by the napalm, but this one managed to find and kill the enemy leader, which is going to potentially allow my teammates' leaders to get into position, but not if he drives through napalm. He will at least be able to potentially decap the sector. But now the Reservisten going to be getting into position as well. So we need to kill that off before they cap it back. Although the Panzergrenadier are now coming in. Both sides just pushing really, really hard. So mortar fire hitting hard. Eagle diving. I was thinking, you know what? I'm just going to try and use the Eagle to strafe the Spetsnaz to kill it off. Not the best idea, but could potentially work. I'd happily trade the Eagle at this point in order to get the kill onto that leader and push like a +6 against our enemy. So it's kind of what I was hoping for. But in the middle of the map, Grim Guy doing a good job capturing the opposing sector in the center. We've completely recapped on the left, so pushing us to the +5. Unfortunately forced to pull out with the Humvee on the right. So no luck there. Now keep an eye on this Abrams. This Abrams did a fantastic job. It just soaked up all of those rockets from the MT and it's going to continue to push forwards aggressively on this left-hand side. The T-64 BV comes forwards, gets hit by the Marder, cleaned up by the M1IP because the T-64 actually missed its shot onto the M1IP Abrams. But that one is the one I think that already moved forwards and killed the book and such, so fantastic job. But now a Chaika joining the Spetsnaz here, and we just don't really have like the numbers in position. You can see that my infantry's kind of been whittled down over time due to all of the rocket artillery that's been smashing our positions here. My poor aero rifles now going to be having a taste of that as the mountain gets absolutely plastered by those shots. Yeah, no leader here for me in order to help cap this. I believe I'd used up most of my leaders at this point, but I am going to be continuing to move through on the left hand side, the M1IP Abrams here, finding the second of the books and also the T-64 BVK. So M1IP going down, unfortunately losing most of my M1IPs on the left, but you can see that my team has managed to break through, which is huge. And Mystical going very, very deep for the sector at Alpha, whilst I'm bringing in M1IP Abrams and my other M1IP Abrams to support for a push into Bravo. So the enemy team starting to fall apart a little bit as we continue pressure all across the map. M1IP though, now just zooming up the road, blasting as it goes, as it drives into the wreck of all these buildings. But it's winter camo on there. A lot of the command units in WARNO do have winter camos because the idea behind this, in terms of like Eugen's theory, is that a lot of the command vehicles would have been painted last. So it gives them an opportunity to like put some cool skins into the game. So the M1IP looking here to get close enough to get a shot onto the T-80UD because the T-80UD's front armor was too thick there, which is why the M1IP wasn't firing, because these only have like 17 AP guns versus the 21 front armor. So they need to close like 600 meters before they can even do like 1 damage. Managed to get the smoke off there just in time to stop the second Metis from hitting the mark, but the Mi-24 is not making it easy for me to reverse that away from the position. On the right hand side, still trying to like fight against these tanks in the open, but the swarm of T-80UD is proving quite a difficult task to deal with. The Milan 2s have been doing a fantastic job here. It was a shame that my TOW 2s didn't last longer because they would have also been pretty handy in this situation. But we're still sitting on the +2 thanks to Farks here, getting his leader in there after Grim Guys died. And I'm going to be providing smoke for that as well. You can see my 155s providing smoke on that position to make sure that that cannot be fired at. Although it's doing a good job at the moment of hiding behind this tower. Monostraki trying to get close enough to get an RPG on target, but don't manage to do so. On the right, Milan's coming out in the open. M1IP also going to be joining me here. And you can see that my supply has been going backwards and forwards here. I have been managing to keep a lot of my units on top of the ridge here supplied throughout. And that Green Beret still alive here. So finally, most of the units in the sector dealt with, but of course the big blob of tanks still very much a threat. And my M1IP Abrams here on a bit of a suicide mission up the right hand side. Didn't probably see that that was the case. We're going to be able to engage the T-80BV from range, and if I can lower the cohesion there, there's a good chance I can do a decent amount of damage. Really nice cluster. Absolutely beautiful double kill onto the T-80UDs. Well worth the Jaguar cluster diving for that. Absolutely huge. Yeah, my M1IP really just going all in here. The Conkers is going to get plenty of free hits on target. So M1IP, slowly but surely trying to break down enemy vehicles in order to give me an opportunity to push into the edge of that sector. The big problem I was having in this game is there are 3 119th on the enemy, and these 119th are the guys that have the T-80UDs, and so there is like a serious number of them that we have to face off against throughout this game, and that did cause me a lot of problems, especially when it came to like trying to utilize the M1IPs. But the M1IP on the right hand side, even though it was on this sort of really bad order, still doing a decent job until it gets called out by the Motorsvedka there. The mortar fire still raining down on this right hand side, tickling the enemy. Gepard in the center, going to be taking down one of those helicopters. On the left hand side, enemy infantry was spotted, but not too much of a concern, as our team getting ready now to put pressure onto Alpha, and my M1IPs preparing to push into Bravo. Because at this point we were pretty sure I'm not going to be able to get a leader into the corner of that sector, because, well, I personally didn't have any left, and there wasn't any coming in from my teammates. So this is like the only leader that I had left, and unfortunately I do allow it to get hit by an HGem in the side armor. So that infantry causing problems for sure. Gonna be forced to smoke that off as I come around the corner and reveal them. Yeah, right side just being locked down by the AI. It's like all the AI's infantry just running around. They got HGMs, they got Iglas, everything they need to just prevent anything that I have left from pushing across there anyway. In the center, placing more smoke allows the Fuchs to move in there. And now artillery going to be coming into the left hand side. I'm going to try and knock out the Metis squads there so that I can push a leader in. All the while on the far left, the front has been completely broken open. The Brigany, Secor, Marco Polo, and also Mystical pushing in to try and take advantage of that. And my artillery hitting nicely. Nice fire position here from a teammate. Is going to be able to hit that infantry as well. Just had my M1IP come further back to get resupplied and fixed up. And I'm also going to be getting some Humvee tows. Now these Humvee tow 2s are going to be able to just spread out in these tree lines and put shots onto enemy tanks and such that would be coming down the roads to reinforce. And then in doing so, might open up a chance for my M1IP to kind of push in there. I've got even more M1IPs Abrams on the way. Now I could have put them all the way over to this right hand side and just started to break out here, but since I'd kind of put all my eggs into this left basket at this point, there didn't seem much of a point. So here we go, M1IP going to be making the dive with the artillery coming in, the smoke covering the M1IPs. I thought it was about time we make a move. The Ranger's going to be pushing in there as well. On the left hand side, the Challenger Mark II decapping this sector, making it a +2 for us once again, as the mid did get pushed out. And I tell you what, the enemy certainly made us bleed for every inch throughout this game. Tow 2 Humvee managing to trade for a T-80BV, absolutely perfect. Nice cluster coming in there, hits the Gyatsins on the backside. And there we go. M1IP into this sector. Going to be the +2 for our team since the left side got recapped by the enemy. And now I'm just pushing forwards really hard with the M1IP Abrams to see if we can get plenty of kills. And then we're just going to be hiding behind that building there. That's now a +6 as we full cap this and cap the left. Our Humvee tow looking for the kill onto the last of those artillery pieces. This is now full capped. That's going to take us to a +8. And now it's going to be only 20 seconds left until victory for our team. Mi-8T being thrown in by the AI here will bump straight in to the Chaparral. No chance for that. Abrams trying to find those cheeky shots there. But that is it. Good game to our team. Had a real tough time on the left side there. We did well on the right, but eventually got broken down. It was like both sides were back and forth. Really cool game, and even in the middle it was back and forth, and that's what you love to see in the 10v10. And in the end, 10,225 kills for myself with 5,910 losses. So I did actually get the best KD just after all that, which was not something that I expected, especially considering what I lost at the beginning. But this Green Beret leader, or this wasn't the leader, sorry, this is just the standard Green Beret, doing really well throughout the game, managing to stay alive, holding that position nicely, getting that T80 BVK kill as well was really big. The Arrow Stinger that was hanging out on the edge of the mountain, shooting down so many of the enemy aircraft. The Aero Tow 2s, whilst they did get killed off eventually, were certainly picking off some very expensive targets like the T80UD, and the Apaches, whilst they eventually went down as well, also managed to pick up some really important targets, like particularly these BRMs, really important targets, because they stopped my infantry squads from sitting on the corner of or on the edge of that mountain. Obviously the T80UD and T80BV kills were very good as well. M1IP getting a great amount of kills on the left hand side there. So this one took out the T62MV and the T64BV, and then we had like the follow-up one that killed the book there. Or tried to kill the book, sorry. I think this was the one that tried to kill the book, but then got killed. But it was the one originally leading the charge as well against that sector. So some real hero units in this game, and a really fun one. A very intense game to play. Really great fun. If you enjoyed it, consider coming along on Wednesdays, 8 PM to my Twitch channel and joining in the games. But that is it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.